sensie.
It's not a lot.
Yeah.
I don't see a big difference in the conditions for the prisoners as well.
It was.